Hey everyone, how you doing today? This is a conversation I've been wanting to have with Greg for a little bit now, and you saw him kind of tease it in episode number 2, and that is our topic of Bitcoin, and most specifically, Elon Musk throwing $1.5 billion and buying a whole bunch of Bitcoin. So how you doing this morning, Greg?
Doing great, Michael. How about you?
Doing well. So obviously you saw the news. I think it occurred sometime last week where Elon Musk stepped into the Bitcoin fray and turned roughly 10% of his, or actually we should be clear, it's not his cash, it's Tesla's cash on his balance sheet into Bitcoin. And, he did that because he sees the dollar getting crushed. I think he obviously wants to give the middle finger to the US government. I don't think he's a big fan of what's going on with taxes and all of that. But he is the Pied Piper for lots of people. Fear of missing out is real. It will be interesting to see what other companies come along, right? Who else converts cash positions to Bitcoin, if any, and kind of where this goes. So, what do you think of that news when you saw it the first time?
Yeah, it was interesting. So, there's a lot of pump and dump going on. So it'll be interesting to see how long Tesla stays in the game. There's a few people at the top of the food chain that have been in Bitcoin for a while, like Michael Saylor, and his average, so he can buy Bitcoin at $50,000, but he got in it way before. So his average now is probably 15, 16,000.
Mm.
Elon Musk probably averaged out at, 30,000. Who knows what he paid, but or for Tesla. So I think it's dangerous. I think it's risky. I'm not sure that a corporation that's using investor funds, because that's a public corporation owned by the stockholders, the shareholders. Now he's one of them, obviously. I don't see where you should be allowed to gamble with the funds of a public corporation. Now, if it's your own company, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Your money, your company, whatever. If it's profits and not cash flow, that's committed. So that'll be interesting to see if there's any regulation that comes about because of that. It's going to be interesting to see how many other companies follow suit, because what he's basically saying is cash is being devalued sitting over here. So I'm going to go to Bitcoin because it's going to appreciate more. And we know that he has the ability to tweet, stuff goes up. So, so that's one play. It could be totally speculative to where he knows he can drive it to a point and then cash out. He's also carrying on his books in a way that, if he does take a loss, he can expense it,
I
right, and
saw
write it
that.
off.
I saw that.
If it gains, then he doesn't have to, claim it as income above the amount that he invested, those types of things. So there's ways to carry it on the books that you can kind of hedge on some things. But I think it's risky. I think it's dangerous. And I think a lot of companies may follow suit that are a little bit more cowboy run. I think you see that the big corporations that understand their fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders aren't going to follow suit. The banks aren't going to follow suit, major banks, things like that. So I think it's dangerous. I think it's risky. I think Bitcoin is being set up for a collapse. I know I don't fully understand everything there is to know about Bitcoin, but basically it's digitally created, and which means it can be digitally destroyed or controlled or hacked. And people say, oh no, you can't hack it. I'm sorry, if somebody can create this sucker, somebody can take it down.
Mm.
And if our systems of the government and all that can be hacked and can be snapped into, I mean, to me it's just dangerous that you've got nothing. At the end of the day, if that network goes down, if that blockchain goes down, you got no proof of anything. You got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. you know and we've seen major corporations that nobody ever thought could fail. Shareholders got wiped out, got diluted. Gold is a tangible asset, but it's only worth as much as somebody's willing to pay for it. So if people all of a sudden say, well, I don't have any money, I can't buy gold, where your gold is worth nothing. Same thing with Bitcoin. At some point, Bitcoin to me, it's like a Vegas chip if you're not in Vegas, right? They're only valuable if you're in Las Vegas. You can't
Mm.
take a chip from Las Vegas and go to the grocery store in Nebraska, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think so. Obviously, I think we talked about it 8, 9 weeks ago. I was starting to move 1% of my net worth into cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, just as an insurance hedge, because the last time I did that, it was gold and silver, right? And it was physical gold and silver. It's just the numbers are so big now. I don't want to have that, you know, risk of having that stored somewhere, in my house or a safety deposit box or wherever. So that's why I did it. And one thing that I think happened when Musk did that is I think he took zero off the table, right? If you were to ask me even 3 months ago, could Bitcoin go to zero? I was of the mind that, yeah, absolutely. And I would have probably said it's maybe not likely, but it's within the realm of 2 standard deviations. I think what with Tesla's news and subsequent MasterCard, Bank of New York Mellon, I think zero is off the table now. Now, is 50,000 the right number? I have no idea. I mean, maybe it's 5,000, but I think zero is off the table. And I think what's going to happen now, because I used to be in these sessions as a corporate executive, uh, I suspect any cash heavy company, think Apple, right? Cash heavy. Um, I think it's their fiduciary duty to at least have a conversation, right? Do we want to move a percentage, even if it's 1%, into some kind of crypto asset? Now, the answer could be no, we don't want to, because of we're going to buy back corporate shares, or we're going to use our cash some other way. But for the first time, it's on the corporate docket. It's going to get a 30-minute discussion with the executives. And I think that's game changing. And again, no could be an answer, right? We're not doing that. It's risky. We don't understand. But 30 days ago, it wasn't even on the docket. They would never give it the time of day. And I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And, the thing about Bitcoin is nobody fully understands it. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody completely fully understands it, because you don't know who created it. You don't know how it was created. And if somebody can create it, then that means somebody else can create another one like a Bitcoin. Now, there's all kinds of currency out there, cryptocurrency, and everybody's creating their own digital currency. And I think that is the wave of the future, but it's going to be a digital currency created and backed by the United States government that is always going to reign supreme. Not a Bitcoin, not an Ether, nothing else that's not backed by central banks or governments will ever reign supreme as a currency. And
Yeah.
it just, I mean, because there's nothing backing it up. So it's truly speculative. It's all just this big, it's just like GameStop. Okay. It's the exact same thing, the exact same thing. GameStop was a speculative play backed by nothing. The company's worthless. So, at the end of the day, if you can create a Bitcoin, somebody else can create another Bitcoin exactly like it, same technology, same everything, can do the same thing. It's only scarce. There's only 21 million of them ever made. And if that's the case, well, then there's only so many that can ever be owned. And eventually it's all going to end up within a few people's hands. And I know that they're fractionalizing it and this and that, but nobody fully understands what it is, what can happen, and who's really behind it, and what the real agenda is, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying, man, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, right? I gave it no time of day. Back in 2017, I told this story. One of my friends came over who's like in my top 5 friends, and he's still there today, right? So it's somebody I've stayed in touch with, and he was giddy with excitement, right? He was showing me this like little key fob with his cryptocurrency on it, which I still don't understand. And he's like, you got to buy it. I'm like, and then he left. I looked over to Olivia going, we aren't touching that stuff. He is way too excited. I don't understand it. Not going. It peaks, it falls. But then this year, I think to your point, I think cryptocurrency will be an answer in the future. Is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be Ethereum? Is it going to be one that's already created? I have no idea. Right.
Yeah. Blockchain is real. Digital currency is real, but an actual coin that is not backed by any government or anything being the currency du jour, it's just a total speculative play, just like gold is. Gold is all speculation. Now you can hold tangible assets, physical gold, and gold's used in other things, so it's a little different. But at the end of the day, you can't take a bar of gold to the grocery store and buy groceries. I mean, the manager might take it and give you cash for it or something, but you can't exchange it at the register. Bitcoin, will that happen with some retailers at some point? And some people are taking it, but anyways, hey, I don't understand Bitcoin completely. No, I don't think anybody really does. The smartest minds in finance in the world really don't. They all say the same thing you did. Well, let's take 1% and just hedge against this. Well, why are you doing that? Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you do that with any, you know what I mean? Because you really don't know, other than that's what everybody's saying. I mean, that's why everybody's doing it, because everybody's saying, hey, that's what you should do. That doesn't make any sense. Really, at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense. It's not an insurance policy against anything. Now, here's the real interesting thing about Elon. What's the real consequence if and when Bitcoin does go to zero or half of what it's worth now, or a third of what it's worth? Then what happens to the company then? Yeah. Granted, like you said, it's only 10% of the cash on hand, but what cash on hand is that? Is that cash raised through selling stock? Is that profits? Is it debt? Yeah. Where is the cash? Where did it come from?
Good point.
That's the key. So that's what's going to be interesting there is at the end of the day, what are going to be the consequences when it does crash? Because it will, it's just a speculative play.
Yeah. And the last thing we'll do on this topic is first movers always win, right? Michael Saylor, first mover, right? His money's probably tripled by now. So he looks like a genius. Elon Musk piles in with a big play right out of the gate. He's up like 25% already. It's going to be the next, 3, 4, 5 big billion-dollar players, and then it will just be the late players coming in at a higher price that could get smoked.
Yeah, and then if you get institutions, banks, pensions, if you get those types of investors, which I don't think you're going to see that, going in, that's when you got a real problem.
The late movers, the followers.
Well, and then, again, if it goes down, what's the consequences of it going down? Because there's nothing to bring it back. It's not real. That's the thing. It's not real. It's a code. It's a line of code.
Very cool. Well, this is always a fun conversation. I'm sure we're going to both get a lot of hate comments on this video.
Well, the biggest thing I get is Greg doesn't understand anything about Bitcoin. You're right.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to do real estate.
My hand.
I'm going to do.
Hey, I do what I do. All I'm saying is it's dangerous, and I'm glad. I have no problem missing out at all on that. None at all.
There you go. Thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate you.